Uncut tomorrow, so be there for that at 11:30. See you.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live. We will be with you until 2 p.m. and today is going to be a very big show. We have a guy that is going to join us from inside Hantavirus quarantine in Omaha, Nebraska. You're going to want to hear from him. He'll tell you what he's eating, what he's doing, and most importantly, how he's feeling. The other thing we're going to do, check in with TMZ. Both Britney Spears and Tiger Woods are out of rehab. They've been seen in their neighborhoods. We're going to talk about what they are doing and what their future looks like with Michael Babcock. But at the same time, we're keeping an eye on anything and everything that's happening live. In the video square beside me, that is the Senate floor. The U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives were on a recess for a little bit more than a week. They came back on Monday and Tuesday, respectively, and they have been very active. You know this. Thursdays are typically the days that are very busy because they do return back to their home districts. Whether they live in Virginia or Hawaii, most of them will get on a plane later today and go back there for the weekend. So Thursday is really a wrap it up day in both sides of Congress. The other thing we're looking at, your money. We're going to talk about that. We're also looking at the weather. It is supposed to be gorgeous in and around the region all weekend. Little iffy today, but as you can see, it's getting better and better and better. If you have plans, keep them this weekend, and if you don't, make them. There is also a Senate committee that we're going to listen in. We're going to go there now. Again, all of this live.
Epic fury. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
According to Israel's foreign minister, Hezbollah has fired 10,000 missiles, rockets, and drones at Israel during the past 2 months. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct, sir.
And in response to these attacks, Israel initiated a ground offensive in southern Lebanon, aiming to create an uninhabited buffer zone along its northern border and to push Hezbollah north to the Latini River. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
To enable this operation, the Israeli military ordered the evacuation of southern Lebanon, displacing over 1 million people, nearly 20% of Lebanon's population. That is also correct.
I don't know that that number specifically is correct, but the concept of the evacuation is correct.
While governments of Israel and Lebanon declared a ceasefire in April of this year, Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem announced that his organization would not recognize the ceasefire and would never agree to disarm. Is that correct?
That statement is correct.
Yeah, he made that statement. Hezbollah then continued to fire projectiles into Israel, and Israel has continued to strike Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon. That's also correct, isn't it?
That's correct, sir.
And I think Senator Rosen would wholeheartedly agree with me that peace between Israel, and I can't ask questions to my friend and colleague, but I think we would both agree that peace between Israel and Lebanon would be a wonderful development, and a wonderful development for America and for Israel. But peace between Israel and Lebanon depends on the Lebanese government having both the capability and the will to disarm Hezbollah. Has the United States provided the Lebanese armed forces with approximately $3 billion since 2006?
So I'd have to take that specific volume, that specific number for the record and follow up. But we have been providing aid for 2 decades.
Is it fair to say that the primary goal of U.S. support for the LAF, the Lebanese armed forces, was to counter Hezbollah?
Yes, sir.
And from 2006 until 2023, is it accurate to say that Hezbollah's rocket and missile arsenal grew from 2006 to 2023 from approximately 9,000 rockets and missiles to 150,000.
As a result of decades and billions of dollars of Iranian support, that's correct.
Israel's foreign minister alleges that Hezbollah fired more than 10,000 projectiles at Israel since the beginning of March of this year. In light of the Lebanese armed forces inaction, was Israel's offensive into southern Lebanon militarily necessary if Hezbollah's attacks were going to be countered? Was there another way to do that?
So I would really defer to Israel on intent and effectiveness, but just as a general statement.
Militarily necessary, though.
It is an option among options, of which there are few, to deal with the Hezbollah problem.
I appreciate Senator Rosen bringing this up, and just would go back to the central point. It would be a tremendous achievement for Israel, Lebanon, the United States, and the Middle East if Hezbollah could be eliminated and allow the Lebanese people and the Lebanese government to resume the happy relations that we once had and strive for between the United States and Lebanon. Would Senator Rosen have any further questions? Then this concludes today's hearing. I want to thank our witnesses for their testimony, and I would acknowledge that many of the arrows aimed at these two witnesses were better aimed at people in the civilian leadership who, according to our great Constitution and our principles dating back to George Washington, are in control of policy. And I would commend these two military veterans for adhering to that constitutional principle. And with that, I would inform members that questions for the record will be due to the committee within 2 business days, and we are adjourned.
All right. I'll go up there and thank you.
So there you see it. It's just one of the different hearings that we're going to be dipping in and dipping out of now until 2 p.m. We're watching all kinds of things around the United States. We are going to be going live to Italy because some Villanova law students will be there. We're also going to Omaha, Nebraska to check in on a guy who is inside the Hantavirus quarantine unit. We'll ask how he's doing. At the same time, right here in our area, there is plenty of news, and we are all over that as well. We're going to go out to Jennifer Lee, see what she's working on this afternoon. Hey, Jen.
Hi, Jen. So we're here on Jefferson Street. This is considered the old Kensington neighborhood. We're right by North 4th Street. The other side over there is Germantown Avenue, and you can see this big hole on the street here on Jefferson Street. Some of the workers from the Philadelphia Water Department are here, and they're kind of removing some of the little barriers that were in place because a backhoe is actually just arriving so they can remove the Jersey barriers that were blocking vehicles and other people from entering this zone. And that truck that's moving over in that direction actually has a whole truckload of dirt that's going to be filling in this hole. The crew here on site tells us that the city of Philadelphia also plans on paving this road later today. We have reached out to the streets department, city press person, as well as Philadelphia Water, just to get an update and see if this is the correct timeline that we're hearing on site here. But obviously you can see a lot of the construction activity on site. So from what I'm hearing, a lot of the neighbors here have said that this all started sometime in April. So it's been about a month and a half of, this being their reality, a street shut down potentially causing hazards for little children in the neighborhood who are playing outside. And we also talked to the owner of 4 Jefferson Mini Market here right on the corner. And he said it's been terrible for business because they, have a loading zone that they pay for annually right where that big hole in the ground is. And obviously the delivery trucks have not been able to always access and pull over because these are narrow Philly city streets. So he said it's been affecting not only his inventory, but also customers who might want to quickly stop on by, pull over, grab what they need and go. So he says sales have been hurt as well. Obviously, he's glad to see some, action being taken finally from the city. But he said, yeah, it was sometime maybe just over 4 weeks ago, about 6 weeks ago, he said. And he said it actually started with a water main break. And then the crew came here to fix that break. And then they obviously had to rip open the ground here to do that work. And then he said it was left in this state ever since. So yeah, we're hoping to get some answers from the city of Philadelphia about, what the timeline is, what the status is going to be, and if the crew on site that provided, the fact that it's going to be paved over today, if that is accurate. But we'll have those updates for you later today. Jen?
Growing up in Florida, I have seen how these sinkholes really can get so big so quickly. When I was in elementary school, a sinkhole, like within 3 days, swallowed up, I'm going to say this, a car dealership and all of the cars in the dealership, city pools, all that kind of thing. That's more of a Floridian situation, but we know that with sinkholes, they really do have to get on top of these streets that are hundreds of years old. And in many cases, we don't know what's underneath them, right? So I'm glad you're on top of that story.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And wow, yeah, we don't want any cars being swallowed here. So definitely.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. We have 2 pieces of breaking news that are happening right now. First of all, we're just learning 4 people are dead in a medical plane crash in New Mexico. That's all we know. We will stay on that as well. Back to Washington. Apparently, right there inside the U.S. Senate, senators have unanimously approved a resolution. What's it about? They have decided to withhold their own pay during future government shutdowns. You have to ask the question, will the House of Representatives do the same thing? And then a second question, will this prevent lengthy government shutdowns? We saw as TSA workers and other individuals were not being paid and they were asked to go to work to keep all of us safe. I'm going to say this one more time. In the Senate, the senators have unanimously approved a resolution to withhold their own pay during future government shutdowns. It's just 2 of the things that we're watching right now with you guys live. I mentioned this, everyone's talking about Hantavirus. How will it affect you? How will it affect us? Well, there's a guy in quarantine because he was on that cruise ship. He's an American. We're gonna check in with him. We're gonna ask him what's he doing, how he feels in just a few minutes. And then we're also gonna find out what the latest is with Britney Spears and Tiger Woods. Plus we will go to Italy. Who's there? Some Villanova law students. I'll tell you why in just 2 minutes. All right, there is quite a bit happening at this hour. We know the President of the United States, along with some pretty significant business leaders, are in China. The President earlier today spoke with the President of China. The two of them are trying to negotiate some type of deal. The administration would like the Chinese government to help them with the conflict in Iran. The Chinese government would like some help with the United States with the situation in Taiwan. As you probably know, China and Taiwan do not have a great relationship. So it will be a very, very complicated negotiation. It's about 12:16 here in the East Coast. It's midnight plus 16 minutes over there. They're about a full day ahead of us, or I should say 12 hours ahead of us over in the East. So you have to imagine not a lot of conversation is happening right now, but we do know that earlier today, their time, there was a lot in terms of negotiation. And at the same time, the UN, the United Nations, they're monitoring all of this. So we're going to check in with them live and just see what they're talking about.
The Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reports that large-scale attacks over the past days struck Kiev and other areas in western and central Ukraine, damaging civilian infrastructure and causing more than 140 civilian casualties, including children. While search and rescue operations continue in some locations, at least 15 civilians were reported killed, and 127, including 6 children, were injured across Ukraine, according to Ukrainian authorities. Humanitarian partners delivered assistance, including psychological support, first aid, and construction materials. Today, when delivering another convoy with supplies to civilians living in Ostriv, one of Kherson's hardest-hit areas, a clearly marked United Nations vehicle was severely damaged by 2 drone strikes. The mission delivered food and solar lamps to residents of this hard-to-reach area. While the team managed to safely exit the location, this is not an isolated incident. 56 incidents of violence against humanitarians have been recorded from January to April 2026. Our UN team in Cuba, led by Resident Coordinator Francisco Pichon, continues to support national authorities and communities as the country faces a deepening energy crisis, marked by acute fuel shortages, prolonged blackouts, and severe disruptions to essential services. The situation has deteriorated further in recent days, with fuel reserves largely exhausted and no immediate new imports expected, placing additional strain on electricity generation, transportation, and the delivery of basic services across the country. Through the UN Action Plan responding to Hurricane Melissa and the energy shock, more than $32 million has been mobilized to support affected communities. This has enabled the transport of 48 containers carrying water, sanitation, health, shelter, and protection supplies to the hardest-hit provinces in eastern Cuba. Food assistance has reached some 900,000 people, while solar-powered water pumps and portable water treatment plants are helping restore access to safe water for thousands. Electric generators have also been installed in more than 20 health facilities to sustain critical services. Our UN team continues to support Cuba's clean energy transition. In 2025 alone, UN agencies mobilized nearly $17 million for clean energy initiatives. Our team also continues advocating for humanitarian considerations and practical solutions to facilitate access to fuel and energy, while working with national and international partners to help mitigate the impact of the crisis. And like I said, tomorrow you'll hear more from Edem Wosurnu about our humanitarian efforts in Cuba. From Haiti, our OCHA colleagues report that an intensification of armed violence in the Artibonite department in recent weeks triggered displacement and growing humanitarian needs. According to the International Organization for Migration, more than 4,400 people have fled their homes between the 2nd and 7th of May. Most are hosted in local communities. Armed attacks on May 8th and May 9th in the communities of St. Mark reportedly resulted in at least 6 people killed and others wounded, according to preliminary reports received by OCHA. These events have triggered new population displacements, with movements ongoing towards St. Mark and Verret. The same areas had also experienced armed violence between March 28th and April 6th, displacing more than 13,500 people and increasing pressure on host communities and basic services. These attacks directly impact livelihoods and food security in a context where more than 5.8 million people, more than half of Haiti's population, are acutely food insecure. Artibonite is one of Haiti's main agricultural production areas and the
So
violence.
again, we're listening in to the United Nations briefing. They're talking about a number of things. We are expecting them at some point today to talk about the President of the United States traveling to China. We are expecting them to talk about what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz. It is affecting so many people because that is where the oil from the west, from the east rather, comes this way. So we're expecting a lot of that. At the same time, starting early last week, we've been talking about a cruise ship that had people on board with the Hantavirus. No one had ever heard of what that was. No one really knew where the cruise ship was. And now many of us are thinking about it daily. One person who's definitely thinking about it is Jake. He is in quarantine in Omaha, Nebraska. First of all, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to, come to terms with the fact of the situation that I'm in and learning to live with it for now. After today, it'll be 38 more days here at the quarantine unit.
So let's go back. May 1st, early May, you're on one of the most amazing trips that I think anyone could think about, going to exotic islands, bird watching. I think you work professionally as a travel influencer. So earlier this month, everything was looking good for you, correct?
Correct. So it really wasn't until that last 24 to 48 hours of the trip that, something really went wrong. We found out that there was Hantavirus, that was potentially the illness that was going around once that first person tested positive. We found that out the night before we were actually supposed to be disembarking from the ship. So it really happened at the way end. Up until that point, it was a trip of a lifetime with just some weird things happening, here and there. But it all seemed just coincidental or just weird versus, everything being related.
So how did they tell you? I think I saw a video. Did the ship's captain relay this to you guys? Like, how were you first alerted to what was going on? And did you have any idea what Hantavirus even was?
So whenever there was something very serious, like someone passing away, or when we found out that Hantavirus was confirmed with the person who was in the hospital in Johannesburg, those were all announcements made by the captain. And yeah, so I didn't really know what Hantavirus was. And I feel like most people, when you hear about an illness or virus that you've never heard of, you Google it, which everyone knows is the worst thing you could possibly do because it's always going to be scary. I know Hantavirus is a scary illness, and it just makes it even more scary when you're looking up all these different things on the internet.
And did they ask you to stay in your cabin or your room? So it was, you learned before you got off the ship. I think we all know they didn't let you guys get off the ship. They were trying to figure out what to do next. In those first hours, days, did they ask you guys to quarantine?
So it wasn't an immediate request to stay mostly in your cabin. That request came within 2 to 3 days of the original announcement. However, I was personally just scared, so I spent basically all my time in the cabin once we found out that it was Hantavirus. I did not really leave my cabin at all.
Okay. And then a group of you, some of you traveled from the Canary Islands, from Spain, to the Atlanta area. And I believe there's 17 of you in total that are in Omaha, Nebraska. The bulk of you guys are in living quarters like what you're in, right? So it's kind of like you're in quarantine, you're getting fed meals. I know on Instagram you've been telling people what you've been doing every day, but for people who haven't seen that, what does your day look like right now?
So what is expected of us is minimal. We have daily temperature checks, morning and night. Sometimes I get calls from a doctor, maybe once a day, ask a few questions. And then usually in the afternoon, there's a town hall where we're, just asking questions or concerns about food or, what things might look like after the quarantine or after the assessment period and just things like that. But for the most part, we just have time to relax in our room. I have a stationary bike in my room. I think I'm blocking it right now to work out. There's also some free weights in the closet and a step board. So for different types of exercises, some TRX bands, I think a BOSU ball potentially that can be blown up. It's honestly more like a hotel room, it feels like, than a hospital, like not necessarily bare minimum, but a decent hotel room. And we can order whatever we want here. So if you can kind of see behind me, I have new pillows. I have 4 pillows now that are more comfortable for my liking. I put on a mattress pad, new sheets. I've been getting different games from family and friends, snacks, things like that. And we found out yesterday that hopefully we're going to be able to start door dashing once in a while. So I'm hoping to get Chipotle in the next coming days. That would be a real treat for me.
You definitely need some Chipotle. I know, being overseas and then coming back. When you do the town hall, is that via like Zoom, or are you in the same space for that? Are you allowed to see the other people that are in quarantine?
If they decide to turn on their camera, yes.
So you're not ever physically with them. Are you able to go outside? Is there an outside area for you guys?
As of right now, no, there is no way for us to go outside. I think they might try to work on something where that could potentially be possible in a safe setting, but right now going outside is not an option.
And I'm going to continue asking in case people have just tuned in. You feel good, right? You feel healthy.
I feel healthy. I feel good. I just had my blood work done 2 days ago, found out yesterday that I tested negative. All that means is that day, I was negative. It doesn't mean necessarily anything in the long run, but I'm going to stay positive, and I'm just feeling well. And that's all I can do is try to stay well, stay hydrated, eat well, and be healthy.
Well, we talked when you were just going to appear. You look like you might need a haircut, but other than that, you look pretty sharp.
Thank you.
What is the exit strategy? How does that work? When will you be able to leave? You said they've been kind of talking to you about that. What have they told you about the end game?
So I think they were asking us like where we would want to go once this is over and things like that. I don't know what the current options are. We're still in the monitoring period, but even before the monitoring period, we were told that we will definitely have the option to stay for the full 42 days. And I knew right from the beginning that that was the choice that I was going to make. I thought it was the best choice for me. I thought it was the best choice for my family and friends and for the general public. I know that if I were to, let's say, if there's an option to self-isolate at home, I don't know how the medical care would be for an illness like hantavirus in the worst case scenario. And I know that here I'm in the best medical care possible, and that if anything were to go wrong, I'm going to be well taken care of.
I like that. I like that. So you can work out in there. Looks like DoorDash is coming your way. I know you're an influencer. Are you on TikTok talking to brands? I know many people are following you, following your story. So on a lighter note, who's the most famous person that's checked in with you?
I don't know who's the most. I know that DirecTV commented on one of my posts to see if they could send me something. And honestly, right now, I don't feel comfortable receiving anything from brands, especially if they're expecting something in return. So I let DirecTV know that instead of sending me something, if they could find somewhere that they could donate to hantavirus research, I would love that more.
Good for you, bud. Good for you. I know you want to go home, but you make your living being a travel influencer. It's May. Hopefully you're home. What are we thinking? End of June?
Yeah.
Would you take a trip in August or September, or it's too soon to even know?
I actually am supposed to take a trip in August that's planned. I'm going with my aunt to Australia. She's supposed to run the Sydney Marathon. So I'm going to go traveling with her. I've been to Australia before, she hasn't, so I was going to help her around and show her around. I think it's going to be hard for me to travel again, but I think it'll be a good stepping stone for learning how to love travel again, because obviously the end of this trip was very traumatic for me.
Yeah. I think you have just the greatest brain on your shoulders. We've just met for 5 minutes. I think you're doing great. We'd love to check in with you from time to time, if only just to make you be less bored. How do you feel about that?
That'd be great. I don't mind at all.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to say it again. I'm so glad you're feeling good. I want people to hear that this is not where you want to be. This is not fun for you. You don't want to be there. I'm sure that there are times that you're very, very scared. At the same time, you know that you are being taken care of, yes?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make the best of the situation that I've been dealt.
Yeah.
Like I've been telling people, I know I'm going to be here, and I have basically two options, right? I can sit in my bed all day and be sad and just sulk and not, make this time go by really slowly, or I can try to make the best of it.
All right, stay positive. One of my best friends has diagnosed me with toxic positivity. She says, I'm so positive, I'm annoying. So I'm giving you a little bit of that in the best possible way. Jake, thanks for taking the time for us, and we're going to check in with you here and there. We're happy you're feeling well, and we hope you continue to do so.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We do have a reporter on the outside of that facility. We're going to be talking about this because it's something everyone is interested in. And again, we thank Jake for joining us. Hantavirus is something that we are all talking about, whether you're traveling this summer, whether you know people that are traveling currently. Everyone is kind of talking about it and how it might affect them. We do have Kaylee Schuyler with us this afternoon as well, and we just talked to Jake inside that quarantine facility, and you're literally outside that facility just trying to tell people what you know about what is happening, correct?
Yeah, Jen, and we did receive some good news overnight. The one American who had tested positive for hantavirus was actually moved into the quarantine unit last night, and I'm sure Jake talked about it, but that's more of a hotel-style room as opposed to the biocontainment unit, which is much more restrictive and looks like a hospital room. Now, all 16 passengers here remain asymptomatic, so that is the good news here. But meanwhile, the CDC says 2 other people, a couple, remain in a biocontainment unit at Emory University facility in Atlanta. Doctors say one of them has symptoms and is receiving treatment, but has not tested positive, and the other is considered a close contact because the Andes strain of hantavirus can be transferred person to person. Health officials say they are being cautious because symptoms can take as long as 6 weeks to appear.
We're protecting them and their families, right? If they get sick, we want to find them right away. We don't want them to infect their loved ones because we know the data says the most likely person to get infected is a loved one. And then we want to protect the community around them, right? So it's a function of public health working with these individuals and the medical community to make sure that we're doing that.
At least 16 states are monitoring people for potential exposure. Some states are monitoring previous cruise passengers who left the boat in late April and are already back home. Others were exposed during a flight with passengers before the known outbreak. And then yesterday, 3 people were exposed to a cruise passenger and were taken to the University of Kansas Hospital in Kansas City for observation. And then one person in Illinois is being tested for hantavirus, but that case is not connected to the cruise. The CDC is working with local health officials across the country to figure out next best steps for each individual. And one official with Nebraska Medicine tells me right now they are not aware of anyone looking to leave the facility here. Now, the World Health Organization is still reporting 11 total cases, and that's including 3 deaths. But right now, one French woman who was on the cruise and has tested positive for hantavirus is in critical condition and needs an artificial lung. Jen?
Ugh, you don't want to hear that. So when we talked to Jake, again, the gentleman who was inside that facility, he said they can't come outside. I'm surprised there isn't like some kind of an outdoor spot for them. And I don't even know from your vantage point if you could see where that may or may not be possible.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because we are pretty much on the University of Nebraska's campus. So there's a lot of people around, so it would be tough for them to find somewhere to go outside. I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, we're standing right here. There's not really even a balcony or anything that they could go out on. But one thing that Jake had posted that I thought was kind of funny, I guess a lot of people online were asking him if he had a window in his room, and he showed everyone that, yes, he did indeed have a window, but then he opened it up and you could see all of us media lined up outside, so he opts to leave the window closed.
I think he's trying to stay positive and trying to stay busy. So hopefully you two will get a chance to connect with him. Kaylee, thank you so much. We love seeing you. We appreciate the help.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. JD Vance, the Vice President of the United States, is in Bangor, Maine. It's an event there that a lot of people were excited about. We're going to dip in. I think the introductions are still happening.
Looked at this disaster and said, not in this administration. Now the Department of Labor is taking action to restore integrity with one goal: to protect your taxpayer dollars. We are strengthening our identity systems. We're working with artificial intelligence to make sure that this never happens again, some of the most advanced systems, and we're deploying strike teams in states like California. And we're cracking down on organized fraud. And above all, I'm working very closely with our Inspector General, Anthony D'Esposito, who is fighting every single day to recover stolen tax dollars before they disappear forever. Currently, the Department of Labor is working on recovering $520 million that we had banks freeze. We're also tracking down $912 million sitting on prepaid debit cards in dormant accounts, because every dollar we recover is a dollar that belongs to you, the American people. And finally, this administration believes that unemployment insurance was never meant to be a permanent way of life. The system was only designed as a temporary bridge to get workers back on their feet. So not only is this administration restoring accountability to these programs, but more importantly, we're bolstering workforce development programs that work, like apprenticeships. And here in Maine, shipbuilding is coming back. The president promised the industry would come back. President Trump is delivering on these jobs here in Maine, and we're making sure that you have the skilled workforce, not to create a dependency on these unemployment insurance systems that were scammed, but to make sure that you all have the skills to be in high-paying American jobs. So as I wrap up, let me be clear, and as you're about to hear from our incredible Vice President, he has zero tolerance for fraud. His task force is restoring accountability and trust, ensuring that all of your taxpayer dollars benefit you. He is fighting relentlessly to make the federal government accountable to the American people again, and it's an honor to work alongside him as we put you first. Now, for what you all been waiting for, it is my absolute privilege to introduce the Vice President of the United States of America, JD Vance.
too, and it's great to be in Maine today. Now, before we get started, I got to poll the crowd a little bit because, you know, it's lunchtime. And so when we get back on Air Force 2, I told the team we need to get lobster rolls now that we're here in Maine. So what is the recommendation to this Bangor crowd? Where do we get lobster rolls from? We have a lobster roll guy right here? Okay, fantastic. So where do I need to go? Okay. Whoa. Eagle's Nest. Eagle's Nest? What about somebody, I heard Lobster Boy, is that? Okay. So word to the wise, never come to a crowd in Maine and ask them where to buy lobster rolls, because I've gotten 14 answers in the past 15 seconds, but it sounds like we got plenty of options, and I'm proud to be here in Maine and proud to be in a state with hardworking people, hardworking fishermen, hardworking shipbuilders, and the people who make the United States run. God bless you, Maine. I'm proud to be here. Now, I want to give a great shout out to our acting labor secretary, Keith, who's done an amazing job helping us fight fraud, but also protect American working people. One of the things the Trump administration, the president, has ordered us to do from day one is we are trying to create good American jobs for the American people. Who is sick of leadership that ships our jobs overseas? Aren't we proud to have a president who protects your jobs and keeps them right here in America? But here's the thing, my friends, because you all work hard, because you all pay your taxes, because you do things the right way, it is time to have leadership in Washington that treats you the right way and protects those hard-earned tax dollars. When the President of the United States said, JD, we've got a fraud problem and I want you to tackle it, I was so proud and so happy to be able to do it, because I realized that fraud isn't just about saving money. It's not just about protecting taxpayers, it's about protecting you. The money you send to the government and the services that you rely on. So for once, for the first time in a very long time, you've got an administration in Washington, D.C. that is fighting for you, fighting to protect your tax dollars, and fighting to put the fraudsters in prison, which is where they belong. And we're going to talk about that because everybody asks me. The president asked me. I hear from people all the time who say, is going after fraud hard? And I say, unfortunately, no. Because there is a lot of fraud in the federal government. It's like fishing in a barrel. There is always something. Every week, I get a report from these guys, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But it's unbelievable, unbelievable how much you have been fleeced by your own government over the past 15, 20, 30 years. Nobody was looking at this. Nobody was asking difficult questions like, for example, are dead people getting food stamps? Okay? Call me old-fashioned, but I don't think that dead people eat, so certainly they don't need food stamps.
All right, so there you see J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States. He is in Maine. He's talking about everything from deceased people being on the voter rolls to lobster rolls. So we're definitely going to check back in there as well. There is a group of 21 law students from Villanova University who are in Milan for 2 weeks, and they're visiting the biggest fashion houses the world knows. We're going to talk to them, talk to their professor, figure out what they're doing there and what I did wrong. Why am I not in Milan learning about Gucci and all the rest? 2 minutes and we're going to be right back. All right, yesterday we went live to London because there was a bar there that is ready to host the Eagles fans. Today, we're going to go live to Milan. That's because Professor Mary Sheila McDonald is there. She's a Villanova law professor. You see her there. She's the director of the Scarpa School for Entrepreneurship and Law. And this week, your classroom are the streets of Italy and some of the biggest fashion houses. Am I right?
I am going back in Philly. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
A little
we are
bit.
right by the Duomo. Oh, sorry. Well, that's kind of funny. You know, I'm very loud. Yes. I'm a professor of...
Professor, real quick, can you put both AirPods in just real quickly? I think that's why there's an issue.
Absolutely. All right, hold on. Yeah.
No problem, Professor.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay. We say, okay, boomer. Yes. So, yes, this is a course I created and I'm kind of curating called Legal Issues Facing International Entrepreneurs, focus on the Italian fashion industry. So last Saturday, we left Philadelphia, 21 law students. They're rising second and third year law students. We left Philadelphia for Milan. So we've been in Milan all week in a classroom for a couple hours in the morning, couple hours in the afternoon at IIFM, the Italian Institute of Fashion Management. I taught a little bit about entrepreneurship and the Italian fashion industry. My colleague, Professor Ann Giuliano, who specializes in labor law, talked about the comparison of Italian employment law and American employment law. And we've had professors from the University of Milan School of Law speaking about, and we had an in-house counsel from Montclair. So, but besides just classes, we visited Armani yesterday in Milan. Today, we took a train and we went to Gucci first thing. The students explored all of Florence, and they'll have the whole weekend off. One of my students is headed to Paris to visit a friend of hers. Students are going to explore, and next week we'll be back in the classroom. We'll visit Prada, and then we're bringing a gigantic Villanova Law flag for a general audience with Pope Leo, because you know he is our alum. But I have a wonderful third-year law student with me, and she's going to take out the earbud. And her name is Lauren McLaughlin. And I want you to tell all about what you're...
Hi, my name is Lauren McLaughlin. I'm a rising 3L at Villanova Law. And despite the last name, I am very Italian. I'm very proud to be an Italian American, wearing my Sicily chain right now. But yes, I'm a rising 3L, future president of the Fashion Law and Italian Law Societies at the law school. And I'm just so grateful that Villanova really fosters these amazing opportunities for students like me to follow their dreams. So I really appreciate this opportunity to talk about what an amazing job Professor McDonald has done.
Wait, tell
I'm
her
going to pass it off.
I'm listening. Did you want to ask her a question?
Yeah, give it back to her. Give it back to her.
Give it back. Sorry. Give it
You're
back.
good.
Sorry. You're going to get a good grade anyway.
Yeah. Is she getting an A? I mean, this is an amazing opportunity, right? You're in Italy with what appears to be the best law professor on planet Earth, and you're going to the biggest fashion houses. Are you hoping to work in that world? Are you hoping to work for Gucci, Prada, Ralph Lauren, and be a lawyer within those companies?
Yeah, so I actually secured an internship next spring with Louis Vuitton, because our law professor at Villanova for the Fashion Law Society, she fosters these opportunities by working at Louis Vuitton. So I'm very grateful and excited to be working there next year. But the long-term goal is definitely to work in the fashion industry. And all of these opportunities that Villanova Law has provided have really set the track for me.
Okay, can you spin the camera around and just tell us like what we're looking at? What's behind you? What's behind you?
Yeah, so we have the Duomo behind us. We have the Duomo in Florence behind us. I've explored all day long, up to 20,000 steps, but it's a beautiful city. It's my first time here. But Milan is a great home base for us, fashion capital. And we're going to Rome next week, which I'm really excited about too. Get to see Pope Leo.
Yeah, would you please send him our love? Now that you guys are advanced at doing this, we would like to be with you live when you attempt to say hi to Pope Leo. Can we get that done?
Amazing. Can we get that done to see Pope Leo live on television?
We're going to try.
We're going to do our best.
We'll try, Jen. Can she hear me?
I can hear you, baby.
Woohoo! Yeah. So we have a gigantic Villanova Law flag. We are getting, and this is a fun Delco fun fact. I'm Delco proud, Drexel Hill and then Radnor Township for years. But Father Kevin DePrinzio of Havertown and Bonner fame is one of the assistant generals of the Augustinian order. He's over in Rome and he's giving us a whole tour. The Augustinian prior general, another Delco guy, Joe Farrell, but he'll be traveling. Father Joe and the assistant generals all live right by the Vatican. So we're going to get a great tour. We hope that Pope Leo, our alum, will see us.
Okay, so two things. The gentleman who's directing this show, and I rarely call him a gentleman, he was married by who you just talked about. It's Steve.
Father Kevin?
Yes.
Father Kevin DePrinzio. So you'll text me. Yes. So we're going to see Father Kevin right after our general audience with the Pope. We are so
What
blessed.
time is that? Can we get that live? Can we get that live, please, right here?
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be early. So our general audience is at 10 a.m. That's early. That's, our time. But that's 4 a.m. But Jen, I know you're up early, but we'll probably, with Father Kevin, and we hope to be up on the patio of where they live. I will try to coordinate that. We'll be in touch.
Okay, yeah, you have your people call my people, Professor.
I will have my people call your people. Bye, everyone. We missed everyone, but we're having the time of our lives.
Awesome. Make sure you buy me a present if there's anything under $1,000. Good luck to you and the students. It's a great opportunity. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Ciao. Ciao, Bella.
Ciao, Bella. That's what you get. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're going to be right back. Ciao, Bella. That's Rome. Is that Rome? That's Rome. And also, way to go, Steve. All right, back here in Philadelphia, this is a barricade. The barricade is at 9th and Arch. So this is Sky Fox. You're good. And what's interesting is you do see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 10 police cars there. And then the truck that's kind of in the middle of the street, in between, there you go, in between the, nope, not that one. You see police officers there. Again, basically how this works is we're watching live as you guys watch live. Interestingly, it looks like there are gurneys outside of at least one of the police units. We see what appears to be an ambulance there and some other fire trucks. We see some news media on the ground there as well, and officers kind of moving in. The only information that we got before we came here is that it was a barricade. Beyond that, what we had seen was what appeared to be a SWAT vehicle. Remember, they come in heavily armed, and the big purpose of that is they want to make sure that the men and the women that are working to, solve this case, to get everything solved, that they stay safe. 9th and Arch is the address that we have, and there you see some Temple University flags. Typically we think about Temple being farther north on Broad Street, but this might be a second campus. As you know, they have one in Center City, their traditional campus right there on Broad Street. 9th and Arch might be their podiatry school, actually. I'm not sure about that, but that might be where they are. In that vicinity is what I mean. So again, if you're just joining us, there is a police barricade, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can see 10 cars, and potentially that black vehicle could be a police vehicle in the shot that we're seeing. But when and if Skyfox kind of expands the look that we have, you can see that there are more units there than what you can see in this perspective of the shot. You do see many officers standing there. You do see some yellow caution tape. They do that to protect people who might be in the area, both civilians and members of the news media and different people who may have a business purpose to be there. We're watching as one police officer looks like he was on bicycle as he arrived at this scene. If we were talking about the fact a lot of people do know where Eddie's tattoos are, and it is right there. So right now we do not have a ton of information, but we do know this. It started around noon, and we do believe that there is an armed man inside a property on the 900 block of Arch Street. So not really sure what the issue is with the police, not really sure if the armed man is by himself in that building, but we do know that the police officers of the Philadelphia Police Department are making it their job to make sure that that individual can't get too far. And again, all of this started, it appears, around noon today. So not that long ago, as we're just closing in on 1 o'clock here, 9th and Arch Street, what you're looking at as we look at it is a live image, and it is coming to us from Skyfox. It does look like several different departments within the Philadelphia Police Department are there, because you see a van, you see officers that appear to have arrived on a bicycle, and to the top of the screen, it's kind of cut off at this point. It did appear as though a SWAT unit was there, and what that is a heavily armed vehicle with a lot of different protection and protective pieces of equipment, so that if and when, and I do say if, police officers have to go into a building, into a space that they believe might be risky in some way, they have every bit of protection that they can bring with them. If you're just tuning in, this is Philadelphia. It's a police barricade. You're looking at these images with the help of Skyfox. That is our news helicopter. And as you can see, just, a lot of police officers in a very condensed area. And right now, really the only information that we have right now is the fact that all of this began around noon, and we do believe that there is an armed man inside a property on the 900 block of Arch Street. The interesting part about all of this, you clearly see that there are some businesses. It appears that there is some kind of a Temple micro campus there. And we also know that there are residential buildings in and around this area. So the question is, where could this person be? Is the person in a business where potentially other people could be at risk, or is the person in a residential setting where, again, there could be other people that he is there with? At this point, we don't have that information. So as you can see, like I said, top of the screen is what I wanted to show you. For some reason, Skyfox keeps showing this. My sense is we're literally looking at the intersection between 9th and Arch. So this individual has to be inside one of the buildings that we're looking at live along with you guys. It does appear that the podiatry school for temple is inside this Chinatown region. Again, that's a neighborhood that we call that. So Temple University, you see the flags right there. The podiatry offices are right there. I can tell you, we've gone in those offices for different things related, candidly, to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're a big part of making sure that everyone gets the care they need in and around the area, not just civilians, but as I mentioned, professional athletes as well. So you do see a ton of police officers kind of out there. You also see members or colleagues of the news media that are out there as well. And it does appear that at this point, it's kind of a waiting game. So the question is, what exactly will happen and how will they bring this to a conclusion? So what we're going to do is we are continuing to keep an eye on that right here in the room. Sorry? Sure. And then at the same time, we are checking in with Chelsea Torres. Chelsea, we've had a crazy afternoon. We appreciate you checking in with us. Good afternoon to you.
Hi there, Jen. No, I totally understand. You know, I'm here along Route 66. I've been driving this. I started in Santa Monica, kind of did it on the flip side, right? I started in Santa Monica and I'm heading my way towards east instead of west. But it's 100 years of Route 66, and I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is the official capital of Route 66. A lot of people don't know this, and that's mainly because the founder of Route 66 was born right here. So I was able to talk with some of the business owners and get in with the Route 66 Commission here, because what they're doing is pretty remarkable. They're trying to preserve the look of this historic highway and really see what's next for the next 100 years. Route 66 makes quite an impact on those who travel it.
We think of it as this winding museum.
It's an up-close look into American history.
So it's a way of really going deep into America and getting to know the heart of it.
And Tulsa, Oklahoma is the capital of what many call the Mother Road.
This was the home of Cyrus Stevens Avery, the father of Route 66.
But in the back half of the 20th century, as the interstate system expanded, the American Association of State Highway and Transportation voted to remove Route 66 from the national highway system, sending businesses along the route here in Tulsa into a nosedive.
When I was born, this was an area of Tulsa that most Tulsans weren't proud of.
I knew the road was still there. More than 85% of it you could still drive. So I was weary of hearing it in the past tense.
But 5 years ago, Tulsa's Route 66 Commission brought the past back to the present.
We formed a neon sign grant.
A matching grant business owners can use to refurbish or install new neon signs.
Neon was the first real advertising on the road, and that's how drivers going across this little two-lane road across America found a vacancy, a restaurant, a whatever.
You'll catch 84 new or restored neon signs lighting up the night along Tulsa's 28 miles of Route 66.
You just see all these neon signs popping up, and you're just like in a big city of neon.
And this neon resurgence has locals feeling like the future's gonna be pretty bright.
I'll drive through at night just to watch people taking pictures at night and enjoying the neon.
And a lot of folks here really hope the momentum does not stop just at the signs. The Tulsa's Route 66 Commission told me that they're also proposing a grant so business owners can restore the facade of their buildings. Again, just another way that officials are trying to preserve what's already here, especially for the next 100 years. Jen?
Chelsea, thank you so much. That's just super interesting. I'm glad that you checked in with us.
Thank you, Jen.
You bet. All right, speaking of checking in, we're going to go back here to Philadelphia. So look at this. This is an image. It's live coming to us from Skyfox. And this is the area of 9th and Arch Streets. And many people refer to this as a piece of Chinatown, right? Because it's right there kind of in the thick of things. What we're being told is that at 11:32 a.m., a man was armed with a gun inside a property near the 900 block of Arch Street. And then at 12:10 or 12:11 rather, it was set up as a police barricade. So about 40 minutes in between when this person was discovered and when this incident turned into a police barricade. But at this point, we really don't know what's going on. We don't know if this individual ran from police or if police were going to talk to this individual about something. We certainly have more questions than answers at this point. And it's just one of the things that we do. We check in, we look, we watch all of this unfolding live right along with you guys. Again, it does look like there's a SWAT vehicle there, definitely a staging area. So as Skyfox remains there, as we continue to work the phones to figure out exactly what is happening there and try to make sure that anyone and everyone in that area can remain safe, we are going to pivot a bit. We do know this, the Vice President of the United States is speaking in Maine. We're going to check in there.
Sure that the fraud stops. Let me give you a few answers. And one, I got to be honest, it's on me, and it's on the Federal Department of Justice, it's on the leadership of the United States government, is when we find somebody like Ms. Muhammad who's committing fraud against the American people, we've got to show up and arrest her and try to send her to prison. It's very simple. There's got to be accountability. Because here, one of the things I learned, and I was shocked by this, is that when we have what is defined as low-level fraud, let's say a person defrauds all of you for $1 million. Too many of our Department of Justice leaders under the Biden administration, they said that was too low level to actually go after. So, I mean, how many of you would like the federal government to hand you $1 million? Yeah. Well, there were fraudsters out there who were getting $1 million of your money, and the government wasn't even paying attention to it. One of the best things that you can do when you go and arrest somebody and throw them in prison when they break the law is, yes, it's justice for that one person, but it also sends a message to all the other fraudsters that we're not going to tolerate this crap anymore. So we have got to get serious, and sir, we have. I promise you that we have. Here's the other thing is the best and most actionable thing that you can do, because you're not going to get help from the governor right now. We all know that. She hasn't taken fraud very seriously. It's funny. She came to Washington last year and did some breakfast with the President of the United States, and when she showed up, what did she talk about? Did she talk about, you know, the issues that matter to workers? Was she talking about jobs and investments in the state of Maine? No, she showed up to advocate for the right of men to play in women's sports. That's what she cared about when she got in front of the President of the United States. Again, I think all of us believe it's crazy that men would want to play in women's sports. I think that's common sense. But here's what I understand even less than that. Even if you think that men should play in women's sports, how is that the issue you care most about as the governor of the state of Maine? It's crazy. It's crazy. So what you all can do is keep your eyes open, okay? I don't have any faith in your local government right now, or I should say your state government, that they're going to fix this problem. But so much, again, of the best stuff that we've gotten on the anti-fraud task force has been from local officials and local citizen journalists. And when I say a citizen journalist, I don't mean a person who went to journalism school. I mean a person with a cell phone who's willing to ask questions of their local leadership and of everybody else in their community. Like, here's the thing. When we really got wind of what was going on in Minneapolis, it was because somebody showed up at the Quality Leering Center. We've got a guy over there. Did you get a good education at the Quality Leering Center, sir? That's not, he said he's a graduate with honors of the Quality Leering Center. I congratulate you, but I don't think it's that hard, if we're being honest with you. But he's the proudest graduate. Look, here's the thing. If you have a daycare center that's receiving millions of dollars of federal tax dollars, and it says it can't even spell the word learning right, maybe you send a message to your local representative, you send a message to Paula Page, or you reach out to us on the Fraud Task Force, the website's right there, and actually make it possible for us to go and investigate this stuff. So keep your eyes and your ears to the ground. There is unfortunately fraud all around us. If we're gonna get at this problem, we're gonna need citizens to take it seriously. I know you are. Let's just keep at it. Thank you. We'll take a few questions from back in the peanut gallery there. Go ahead, guys.
This is Rich McHugh from News Nation. So we've
been a microphone for them. Because it's hard for me to hear all the way back there. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you, ma'am. I just got invited to go cross-country skiing and snowshoeing by this lovely young lady here. And I got to tell you, ma'am, I appreciate that. I love this state. And we will make sure we get the brochure. But here's the thing about cross-country skiing is it's a lot of work. When I'm doing leisure activity, I like to be a little bit lazier than that. I kind of like a nice hill where you just glide down. Cross country is a lot of work.
So, Vice President Vance, Rich McHugh from News Nation. We have been reporting here in Maine since last year on fraud. We've been reporting in Minnesota on fraud. We're seeing prosecutions happen in Minnesota and in California, but some of the things that we're hearing from people and whistleblowers is you have to go to the org structure, the leadership, and that's not happening. How will this administration go after not just the people who are perpetrating it, but the people who are enabling it and overseeing it in the first place?
It's a good question. So, you know, one of the reasons why I raised this question of certain amounts of fraud being so low level that people weren't even looking at it is it's impossible to get to the high level fraudsters unless you're sometimes willing to look at the low level fraudsters too. I mean, how many of us have watched a good mob movie, and how do those prosecutions always start? You never start with the boss. You start with the low-level guys who then give you some sense of the criminal enterprise, and then you can go after the high-level fraud and the high-level crime. The fact that we were turning a blind eye to fraud under $1 million meant that we weren't even looking at the people who were sitting on top of some of these fraud rings. And we do see already signs in Minnesota, for example, of some very sophisticated stuff. I mean, sometimes I see these fraud rings, and I think to myself, you know, sir, if you just started like a real business, you might actually be a halfway productive citizen, but instead you put those talents into fraud, and so we're going to put all our talents to throw you in prison if that's how you're going to approach that. And that's the most important thing, is you've got to be willing to go everywhere and look at all fraud, or you're never going to be able to look at the high-level guys. Because very often what will happen is you've got 10 people who are skimming $1 million off the top. And then they kick up a few $100,000 to somebody above them. And then it turns out that when you look at the whole network, you've got a lot of people who are making millions and millions and millions of dollars for every low-level guy that's making $500,000 or something like that. So our approach has been to go everywhere, to look at everything, and that's how we're going to get the fraudsters. And trust me, we are going to get them. We already have gotten a lot of them, and we're going to keep our pedal to the gas for the next 2.5 years. Next question.
Brittany McCatton from WABI in Bangor, wondering what the Mills administration and the state government could do today to begin working with you on this issue.
Yeah, so I'll give you two the question was, what could the local administration, the state administration do to help work with us on this issue? I'll give you two very concrete examples. So first of all, one of the biggest problems that we have in Medicaid fraud is, again, because these programs are state administered, the states have to actually empower their anti-fraud people to look into what's going on. So we have what's called every 50 state, or all 50 states should have what's called an MFCU, a Medicare Fraud Control Unit. And we need the local governor to just empower that Medicare Fraud Control Unit to look at the fraud, to prosecute it. And then, of course, they can ask the federal government if they reach a case that's so big they need a little help. We would be happy to help them. We just need the local governor to work with us a little bit better. Exactly. And unfortunately, I just don't get the sense, having talked to her, my people have talked to her, I don't get the sense that the state governor here is particularly interested in working on this problem. But I'll give you another example. So we know one of the biggest drivers of fraudulent federal benefits is SNAP. It's the food stamps program, okay? So again, this is a program which actually has even less federal oversight, as shocking as that is, even less federal oversight than the state Medicaid program. So here's how food stamps works. Every month or every couple of weeks, the state of Maine, the state of California, all 50 states, I'm not joking about this, will submit a bill to the federal government and say, this is how much we spent on food stamps. There's no verification of a single person. There's no confirmation that, let's say a person was on food stamps and passed away, that person has stopped receiving benefits. There's no confirmation that you don't have illegal aliens receiving food stamp benefits. So I always laugh a little bit when I hear people like Gavin Newsom or Janet Mills say, we don't let illegal aliens access the food stamp program. And I say, how do you know? And so the number one thing that I would like them to do is to help us set up the systems to where if you're getting food stamps, we confirm that, number one, you're eligible, you actually need the program. Number two, you're not an illegal alien. And number three, you're still alive. It is not a high barrier to demand that Janet Mills confirms that the people who are receiving food stamps are actually breathing. I'm a pretty conservative guy, but I think that's a pretty low bar for Janet Mills to clear. We would love to work with her on that. We encourage her to do so.
ABC 7 and Fox 22 News here in Bangor. In your remarks, as you mentioned, the administration has warned that states could lose federal funding if they don't aggressively prosecute Medicaid fraud. If funding is cut, how will the federal government ensure that low-income Mainers, particularly those in rural areas, are still receiving necessary medical care?
Well, let me say two things. First of all, there is no administration in American history that has done more to make secure and safe and dependable the rural healthcare system than the Trump administration. In the Working Families Tax Cuts bill, now, you all think of that primarily as a tax piece of legislation because it was, but do you know that there were tens of billions of dollars put into a rural healthcare stabilization funds so that all the rural hospitals and clinics that were closing under the Biden administration, so that we could make sure those clinics are able to stay open for the people in Maine who need them. That was a very, very important part of the legislation and something I'm very proud of. But the second thing I'd say is whether it's Medicaid or any other program, we don't want the people, and we're setting this up so that the people who need these programs and are eligible for them, they're not going to suffer the consequences. We want the fraudsters and we want the bureaucrats who enable the fraud. We want those people to suffer the consequences. So here's a very simple thing is the threat to the Medicaid program. I always think some of these political partisan types get this exactly backwards. The threat to the Medicaid program is not us keeping fraudsters away from the Medicaid program. It's the fraudsters raiding that program to begin with. That's the threat to the Medicaid program. And so what I'd say to anybody who's worried about the Medicaid program, help us fight back against the fraud, because we want low-income people in this state to be able to get the health care benefits they need. But that's not going to happen if the fraudsters steal all the money that should go to the people who actually need it.
Seamus Othot with the Maine Wire. In the recent budget, Janet Mills and the Democrats enshrined essentially protections for fraudsters. If they get their federal funding cut, the state will pay for them. How do you think that can be fought on the federal level without just taking those currently diffuse costs and putting them even more directly onto the Maine taxpayers?
Well, I had not heard of that. Unfortunately, it doesn't shock me. And I think that this is where, when we talk about what can you do, what is my advice to you in order to stop the fraud? Advice number one is throw the people that enable the fraud the hell out of office. They're not worthy of your support, and it's going to keep happening unless we kick them out of office. But the answer is we have a number of tools at the federal government to force compliance with our anti-fraud statutes and anti-fraud provisions. We're working very hard, again, to work with these states, but if the states aren't going to work with us, we're going to force them to comply with the anti-fraud mandate. It's very simple. We're going to use those tools at every step of the way. I don't, frankly, care whether the far-left politicians in this or that state try to protect the fraudsters. We're not going to protect them under the Trump administration, and that is my solemn promise to every person in the state.
Jackie Mundry from WMTW in Portland. It sounds like it's been a challenge to work with the Mills administration on this issue.
That's an understatement.
We have a gubernatorial election coming up in November with primaries in just a couple weeks. Do you think it would be easier to work with a Republican governor? If so, why? And do you plan to endorse any of them? I know a number of them are here today.
Well, first of all, congratulations to those guys. I mean, I've run for political office. I always admire anybody who's willing to put their hat in the ring and try to represent the great people of this state or any other. It's an amazing thing. Thank you all. But I mean, look, what I would say is, obviously, I'm a Republican.
So there you see it, just a real kind of rowdy crowd. J.D. Vance in Bangor, Maine, the Vice President of the United States. At the same time, we're still checking in on that barricade situation right there. You see it at 9th and Arch Streets, very close to the Temple Podiatry School. It's one of the things that we're going to watch. We're going to be back in about 2 minutes. There's a car theft situation happening in Royersford, and we're also going to check in with Michael Babcock, TMZ, Brittany and Tiger Woods, they're both out of rehab. What are they doing now? We're going to ask Michael. Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Jen Frederick. This is Philadelphia Live, and this is a camera shot we've been looking at for about an hour now. We're told that right around 11:30 in the morning, there was some kind of incident with a man with a weapon and police, and then by about 12:10, so about 40 minutes later, there was a police barricade situation. We've seen so many different types of police vehicles, and different types of tools that are being used there. We do believe that they're in the area of the Temple Podiatry School. They're also near Eddie's Tattoo, if you know that area, in the Chinatown section of Philadelphia. So we'll continue to check in with that and just got to get more information on what exactly is happening. We do know there's a man with a weapon and the police, there is a barricade situation. So we're going to continue to ask some more questions about that. At the same time, Jill Croce has been on 14 different stories today. We do believe the story she's on now takes her to City Hall, and it involves, is there a police involved shooting? I know you've had a lot of different things on your plate today.
Yeah, no worries. We were trying to solidify a story for right now. This is my story for today. Coming up at 2 p.m., Jen was referring to a police-involved shooting, and that happened a year ago, and now marking around the year anniversary of that grim milestone of that police-involved shooting. The family there is looking for some answers, and that's the basis of my story today, is that family continues to look for answers. So let's backtrack a little bit. The reason, like I said, for today's press conference, it happened May 21st, 2025, that police-involved shooting happened in the Fair Hill section of Philadelphia. That was at Mutter and Somerset Streets. Here's what our past reporting said. Bruce Angel Garcia, he was carrying a bag. It was said to have pulled his firearm from that bag and it went off, and that made police then shoot at him. He later died from those injuries, was shot in the torso. The department has gone on the record in the past saying that officers were on patrol and attempting what they referred to as a pedestrian investigation. So that's how all of that ensued. But now today at 2 p.m., you have Party for Socialism and Liberation, and some of his family as well will be outside of the DA's office. I'm right outside of the DA's office now. Nobody here yet, but like I said, this starts at 2 p.m. And it's a year later, and the family wants transparency. They allege that the DA's office has been pretty silent recently. They also want the DA's office to take immediate action and run and release a ballistics test to further their efforts on that investigation. And they just want to know the status of the investigation. So it's really a call for transparency today. They're calling it a press conference outside of the DA's office, kind of a rally press conference, if you will. Now, to have a more balanced report, I did reach out to Philadelphia police. I reached out to the DA's office if they can supply any type of statement about these efforts that are happening today at 2 p.m. Haven't heard from either party right now. I know Philadelphia police said they received my request, but like I said, haven't heard back. So hopefully I get a response so then I can have a more balanced report, not just hearing from those outside today. But we do have interviews that will be set up before that event. So hopefully we can give you a more well-rounded report coming up, Jen.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. We appreciate the help. Good luck.
You're welcome.
She's got a big day ahead of her. All right, there's a lot happening live. You see there, the vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, is still speaking. Both sides of Congress, both the House and the Senate, remain open. Remember, they're just back from a bit of an extended break. They were gone a little bit more than a week, just a couple of months after they were gone, a little bit more than 2 weeks for the spring, Easter, Passover, spring break that they do. So both sides are really talking about different things within their individual districts. J.D. Vance has been talking about fraud, and he is in Bangor, Maine. We're going to listen in. I think there you go. So we will instead go to the Senate floor.
Trend than the 3.32 million family farms have made in 2026. Six refiners are making more than the 3.32 million American family farms. Those are the 6 refiners, just six, that are trying to kill this bill in the United States Senate. So again, I want to say thank you so much to those large oil companies, the truly small oil refiners, our fuel retailers, our ag associations, and our biofuel groups, and mostly our American farmers. I want to say thank you so much for coming together to create sensible legislation on E15 year-round that will help every American consumer that's fueling at the pump have another choice. Not a mandate, but a choice. And I'll tell you what, because I use ethanol back home in Iowa when I'm fueling my vehicle, that when I pull up to the pump, the choice I make is the cheaper alternative that supports our American farmers, and that's E15. And I'm proud to support. I'm encouraging all of our members here in the United States Senate to support this really common sense legislation that has come forward from the House.
So again, the Senate floor is open once again. The House is also open. Both sides of Congress are kind of, working on their agenda. We talk about this all the time on Thursdays. Many of the members of both the House of Representatives and the Senate return to their home districts, even if it's as far away as Hawaii. And they basically go there, they meet with their constituents, see what it is that's important to them, and then bring it back to these meetings. And that's kind of what we're hearing about now. They're all advocating for their home districts, as they should. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We have Michael Babcock on the backside of this break. Both Britney Spears and Tiger Woods are out of rehab. Both of them were involved in a driving while intoxicated accusation that involved a car. 2 different things that are happening. He's got the whole story, and we'll give it to you in 2 minutes. We are lucky. We are lucky to have TMZ as a partner with all the news that they bring in all the time. We were just in DC. We know there is a TMZ DC, but today we're kind of focused on what's happening in California and in Florida. Michael Babcock is with us. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. But Britney Spears appears to not be so good. Both Britney Spears and Tiger Woods have re-entered wherever after rehab, but it's going differently for each person. Let's start with Britney Spears. She was seen at a restaurant last night or the other night.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jen. So she is, and you're right, she gets out of rehab a couple of weeks ago. She had spent like 3 weeks or so, give or take, in a rehab facility, and now she is out. So you hope that she's in better shape and doing better. I don't know that this points to that. So she is at a restaurant, and we had heard from some people who were at the restaurant who had essentially said she was making a scene, that she was there with two people, a man and a woman, who have now, we found out, turned out to be her assistant and a bodyguard. So she's sitting at this restaurant in the San Fernando Valley, Jen, and she is yelling. She is barking at one point, we have been told. She had a knife in her hand, obviously a knife from the table, but she had a knife in her hand and was holding it and was really telling what looked like an animated story. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. So people around her obviously know that this is Britney Spears at the restaurant. They're like, what is going on here? So that's what had allegedly happened. You talk to people after, they say she had barely touched her food, but that when she left, it had looked like a toddler was sitting at the table, that like the menu was folded to, in some, unique shape and food all over the place. Now, Britney Spears people have come out and they've said, this is much ado about nothing here. This was Britney Spears simply telling a story about her dog barking at her neighbors. So probably makes sense that she actually was barking. I don't think the witnesses who happened to be there were making that up, clearly, because Britney's people says that the story was about a dog. Again, bottom line, is it just her getting into a story and telling a story, or does it point to the fact that she is still not stable? I think that's probably the million-dollar question that I obviously don't have the answer to. You hope she's okay. She is dealing with the DUI case, but just larger for the sake of her life and her being able to live and be functional each day. I think you hope that she's okay and she's not struggling with any mental health issues like she has in the past.
Michael, we've never talked about this. I don't think we've talked about this, but years ago, you were probably in middle school. I was reporting out in Los Angeles. We were there for an American Idol trip, and someone told us that Britney's team was the one that was tipping off the paparazzi when she went to dance rehearsal, when she went to different places. And we were like, that's crazy. We were with this group, and one of the members of the paparazzi got the tip, and it was exactly as they said. They pulled in with the car. She was in the seat that was, the passenger side, but the back seat. We don't think that anyone on her team is tipping off anyone to tell people where she is or anything at this point, right? This was just an accidental or a happenstance.
No, I think I obviously wasn't here at the time, so I couldn't say if that was happening then, but I absolutely believe that, Jen, and I do know that does happen because obviously I've been here now for like 12 and a half years or so, and oftentimes you'll have a rep for somebody, if it's an athlete, actor, musician, whatever it might be, and hey, my client's going to be here at that time, and they want publicity for them, so that absolutely does happen. I think in this case, especially with last night, I think this just happened to be people who went to eat at a restaurant, and it's not like it's not a celebrity hotspot. This is an unknown restaurant. There are 5 or 6 restaurants in LA where we could go right now, Jen, and if we went to have lunch, we'll bump into celebrities, no doubt. So there are those places. This wasn't one of those. I think this just happened to be they're at a restaurant, and then Britney Spears is off in the corner, barking like a dog, and the people probably said, all right, I'm going to go call TMZ, and that's what happened.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, we're in a fight now because you never take me to any of these places with these hot celebrity. Like, there's no you and me at the Ivy.
We are going.
Nothing.
We are. Next time you're in LA, we're going.
Nobu, Malibu, something.
Well, if I can afford Nobu, it's
Get Harvey to pay. All right, so let's get back on track.
There we go.
Let's get back on track. Tiger Woods also, and by the way, so Brittany, handled her DUI situation. She's been in court. It looks like it's going to, be worked out.
She has struck a plea agreement. Yes, so she'll be okay there.
Tiger Woods over on the East Coast, where we are in Florida, apparently he went to Switzerland, did some kind of rehab there, and he too has been spotted.
Yeah, he is back, Jen. That you're exactly right. So it was April 3rd. It was exactly a week after the crash, the rollover crash, and then the DUI arrest, that he asked the judge if he could go seek help outside of the country because he didn't think that he could actually get any privacy at a facility in America. So he says, can I go overseas? The judge says yes. April 3rd, flies to Zurich, Switzerland. Zurich, and I didn't know this, but Zurich is known for having probably the most exclusive rehab facilities in the entire world. I mean, you talk about like a 4-star luxury resort. That's basically what these places are, Jen. Oftentimes, it's just there could be one patient in the entire place. So we think that's at the kind of place where Tiger was. He spends just shy of 6 weeks in the rehab facility, and he flies back on his private jet yesterday from Zurich to Palm Beach International Airport. He lands yesterday afternoon. It would have been like around 5 o'clock or so, Jen, your time. And he is back home now. We actually have got an image of him walking off of the plane. Looks like Tiger Woods. You can't tell one way or the other. Does he look happy? Does he not? It's hard to tell. But he is back. He still has his case. So his case is still open. Not that it's the most serious thing in the world. It's 2 misdemeanor charges, but nonetheless, it's a DUI. He could likely lose his license here, and there could be potentially some time spent behind bars, although I would be very surprised if that happened.
All right. Michael Babcock, we covered a lot today. So when you check in with Harvey about the Nobu date, let him know you're doing a lot of work. You're getting it in, and we're really appreciative.
It's for work.
Yes.
It's for work. He's got now he has the money, so we'll be okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. Have a great weekend. Or not weekend, it's Thursday, right?
It's Thursday.
Bye.
Come on.
I'm off tomorrow. That's why I said that. I'm sorry. I'm coming to Jersey, actually. So
what are you doing in Jersey?
I'm going to fly over. My sister's baby's baptism is on Sunday. So that's why I said the weekend. I know I wish I'd come visit you guys, but next time.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay.
And I got a boss I can make pay for lunch.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. Alex George is at a Roniment golf course. Why? You know why. The PGA Championship. We're going to talk to her in just 2 minutes. All week, we have been kind of in and out of the PGA Championship. It is at Aronimink Golf Club in Newtown Square, Delaware County. Alex George is there. We were talking about you in between the break. I've never had one of your chocolate chip cookies. Keith says your Pop-Tarts are amazing. But we're not talking about food today. We're talking about golf, yes?
Yes, that is true. Although I'm happy to talk about food anytime, any day, any place. And I will say that while we're talking about golf, a lot of the people here were saying that concessions are one of the benefits. We were talking to folks who were taking a nice photo op here at the PGA Championship, and they said the best part is that you get the concessions. But yes, we're talking all about golf. Yes, we're back at Aronimink. So the first time since 1962 that we are back here for the PGA Championship. Now, what you can see here, this is just a little practice going on here. So I'm trying to be as quiet as possible as we see some players prepping for practice. And then this beautiful course here that we are at, you can look to our right and see all of the fans. Now, we're expecting some more fans coming throughout the day, but a lot of, I would say, Jen, and tell me if this is an accurate description, a quiet excitement, a quiet, calm excitement. A lot of folks here, nothing rowdy. This isn't like the Eagles. We're just really enjoying the beautiful day. A lot said they were expecting the rain, pleasantly surprised that that has stayed away for a little bit, and very much just here to enjoy the beautiful course and the beautiful day at Aronimink.
There will be people screaming, get in the hole, Saturday and Sunday. You are in Delaware County, and when they go to putt, I guarantee that will be happening. Are you aware that and I don't think we're allowed to access this with our media pass, that the 14th hole, there's a group of dudes, they built like a stage in their backyard, and they can like look over and talk to people in the 14th hole?
No, we aren't permitted to go there with our media passes, but now that you've told me that, I can probably, I can look it up, but I didn't know this.
Yeah, you got to look that up. And then here's what I want to tell you. Steve wasn't here the other day. I stood where you were for about 2 hours on Tuesday, and you're standing right behind what they call the short course practice area. And every time we had an expert, I was like, who are you looking at? Who you think? They kept saying, Scotty's obviously the favorite to win. People want to see Rory as well. But they kept saying Cam Young is someone they thought was going to have a big tournament. At the same time, on the same side of the short course as you guys are, there was like 3 dudes in quarter zips. And one of them kept looking at me, and I kind of thought he thinks I'm being loud or whatever. Turns out, later I'm looking on Golf Digest Instagram, it was Cam Young. It was Cam Young, the whole, and he just kept on looking at me, and I was looking at him, and they're like, yeah, we really think Cam's going to have, a great, and I was like, why is this guy looking at me? So,
and Jen, were you standing here with the microphone while he played right there saying his name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over and over,
That's a mistake.
over and over again.
Jen, I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing. I wouldn't put it past myself. So that's a mistake I would make as well.
Okay. And yeah, unlike some other events, the food is included. You're allowed to get whatever you want in the media area. You know that, yes?
No, but you're teaching me so many things.
Yeah, I did
the work. But now I might need to go in and get a snack.
Some of us crawl so you can run. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yes, but it's a beautiful day here. So always a nice assignment when you get to just enjoy the day, be outside. It's beautiful.
I love it. Thanks for checking in. And again, 14th hole is where you want to live. 14th hole.
Okay. Bye, Jen.
Bye. Should we take a look at the weather? Because the weather is going to be beautiful. We do have PGA Championship weather right there. So look, today, chilly, Friday gets a little better. Saturday is the pick of the week. Not too hot, not too cold, sunny, no rain. So if anyone does have, an extra ticket, I'm going to be going to the Redner Hunt. I would love to pass by there and go there as well. All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We have a lot happening. We're going to get to it in 2 minutes. All right, we had been looking in at that police barricade. We do believe that the situation has resolved itself. We're going to continue to check in on that in just a few minutes. At the same time, the House, the members of the House, they're speaking. We're going to listen to them.
We're not going to see whether the monitor is needed to go forward. We're just going to take the 5-year number and say it's over. So that person's gone. And if you need a new one, bring somebody else in. All of that institutional knowledge, everything they understand is out the window. Now, I understand that would accomplish the gentleman's objective, which is they want to terminate the monitor out in Maricopa County. They don't like that monitor, all right? That's really not how we should be legislating Department of Justice policy for the entire country. Far from making this a more efficient process, the various requirements put in would delay, prolong, and confuse, as a new monitor and a new judge would have to attempt to get up to speed on the complicated history of the case and the progress completed by the party prior to this new abrupt appointment. They would have to review years' worth of briefs, orders, reports, motions, replies, pleadings, and so on. Together, these provisions could incentivize a reluctant party simply to run out the clock until a more indulgent monitor and judge are appointed to the case. The retroactive application of the bill is, of course, curious. The Garland memo warned against retroactivity, noting that because existing consent decrees and monitorships are the product of extensive negotiations with approval by the federal court, the specific recommendations should apply only to consent decrees and monitorships used in future cases. But the whole trick here is to make this apply retroactively to get at the guy that they don't like. And of course, that's not up to us. We don't go out and decide specific cases. If they've got a problem with what the monitor's doing, bring it to the judge in that case. But don't change federal law and make a federal case out of it. Look, if the majority is serious about improving the appointment and use of federal monitors, and I'm sure they are, then I urge them to work with us to do a nationwide study. Let's craft a bill fully reflecting the recommendations of the Attorney General. Let's invite Attorney General Garland to come in and testify about it. He's a constituent of mine. I'm happy to write him to have him come in and testify about what should be done rather than rushing through this last-minute, case-specific, makeshift legislation. I urge all colleagues to oppose this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves the balance of his time. Gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the gentleman's willingness to work with us. That's why we had a field hearing. That's why they extended the invitation. Come, give us the name of someone you want to testify. You know what? You know how many people across the aisle came to that hearing? 0, zip, nada. They didn't come. They were uninterested. They didn't want to hear from Merrick Garland. They didn't want to come. So they said, "Oh well, okay, we're not gonna do that." And then they're going to stand up and say some rather wild things about that this only applies to Maricopa County and that the monitorship ends at the end of 5 years. That is not true.
All right, so once again, we have been checking in on this police barricade situation at the corner of 9th and Arch. And as I just mentioned, it has been resolved. You see there police walking out who appears to be the suspect in this case. 11:30 in the morning, apparently he is accused of having a gun. By 12:10, it was a barricade situation very close to the Temple Podiatry School. We're not sure if it was a residential address or a business address, and we're still not sure if there was anyone else with him inside wherever he was barricaded in. We do know police were there for quite some time, and they did believe that they could take care of it, and they clearly have resolved it, we believe, in a very safe way. So again, that is the 9th and Arch situation. Now we're going to take you back to Washington, back to the Senate floor.
Quite frankly, the AGs also said these things should be simple. These things should be simple. They should be focused. I don't think that someone who is capable of becoming a court monitor is going to not be able to get up to speed pretty doggone quickly. And that's the argument that they're making over there. But let's see who else supports this. National Association of Police, Arizona Sheriff's Association, major county sheriffs of Arizona, Phoenix Law Enforcement, and also the California Police Association. They all support this because they all their department's taken over. How about this one? I think this is a kick in the pants. They basically roll. The monitor rolls this. This is the fourth sheriff. The DOJ has said, hey, they're in a substantial compliance. And guess what? This monitor is taken to micromanaging. Even the uniforms, the stripes for officers, where they, oh no, you can't put them up here. You want them down on the front part of the sleeve. That's what the Maricopa County monitor's done, but that's not unique to Maricopa County. The monitors get in and they micromanage even the most absurd things that have nothing to do with the issue that brought this forward, which is the racial profiling in traffic stops. And the monitor himself has said in his reports, they're in substantial compliance. There is no statistical significance in any difference between any racial demographic in Arizona. But the monitorship has a monetary incentive. And that's what you're seeing, and that's why you see these monitorships run amok around the country. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll reserve.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman asks why members of the minority didn't come to his hearing in Arizona. And because he asked, I'm afraid I'm going to have to tell you the truth. We don't think it was a serious hearing. It was about one monitor in one case to target one guy in the context of the gentleman's exciting campaign for governor of Arizona. And so I understand the gentleman prefers to be in Arizona. Well, we prefer to be in our districts too. I will happily leave my district for a serious substantive hearing, but I'm not going to be part of a witch hunt or attack against one particular monitor. And so, with that, I'm happy to yield 3 minutes to the gentlelady from Georgia, Representative McBath.
Gentlelady is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I do rise today in opposition to H.R. 8365, the Monitor Accountability Act. This bill addresses the work of federal monitors who are appointed by a court to oversee the progress a state or a unit of local government is making after violating federal law. Often monitors are put in place after...
All right, so we've had a bit of an active day. We had Jake, who is in quarantine. We went to Italy, and we checked in on Britney Spears and Tiger Woods, as well as so much breaking news. So we're going to leave you with this. How about some beautiful weather? It's going to look good. We have to come to work tomorrow. You guys can watch us wherever you're watching us now. How about we meet back here at noon?